Hey, thanks for stopping by for another weekly recap here on Already Overbooked. My name's Josh, and we had a good reading week. So let's jump in and talk about it. All right, we're going to start with a channel and life updates. I don't really have that much from the channel. We might have something come out next week with some more information on some cool video ideas that I'm doing, but we'll talk about that next week. From a life update, baseball season is officially over. So, very excited. My kid been practicing, trying to get better. So, it's very exciting. But we now have a very small window between baseball season ending and summer getting here. So I have this month to read as much as possible. So if you watched my What I Plan on Reading in May video that came out Monday, then you already know that I have a big goal, big ambition month. I plan on reading 12 books, and I think I can do it with how much I've been reading so far in the first week. I think I'm easily going to be at that goal of 12 books. So it should be very exciting. What else is going on my personal side? My life. We have some things around the house that needs to get done. Things are starting to break a little bit in the house. There's some maintenance things. I have some leaks that are happening in my kitchen, which is not fun. And then there's a few other things around the house that I need to get built or I need to get cleaned up or replacing. So we're at that point of, hey, let's start replacing some stuff. So it should be a very fun Saturday. So we'll see. Hopefully I don't mess anything up. All right, so let's jump into the next section. What did I go through and read this past week? So I ended up going through and finishing 4 books. Now, 3 of them were novellas. So I finished the first one, The Veil by Emin Bradley. This was Bradley's first novel, and it focused a lot on trauma and seeing the world for what it really is. It is a very interesting read. I'm going to do a full review next week or this coming week about this book. There's some things that I really enjoyed, and then there's some things that I did not. So I'm going to have some passionate feelings coming out during that video. So look out for that one, probably coming out Wednesday. The next book I went through and listened to, this one was an audio, was Dragon Day. This book was okay. It wasn't great. It felt like World War Z, the not the movie, the terrible movie, the actual book, but with dragons. So it was interview style. It was not great. Again, honestly, I think this would have been better as a mini series rather than a book. The descriptions weren't amazing. The story idea was all right, but the visuals weren't done very well. And it could have been that it was an audio. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it. It was just, it was a good a quick listen. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you have the time to kill and you have nothing else going on, go through and listen to Dragon Day. The next one I went through and finished was Demon Song by F. Paul Wilson. Now, this was an introduction of some key players in a future war and future books. This also was not great. It felt like it was dragged on, even though it was only 20 pages. It was just not good. Very disappointing. Glad it wasn't more than 20 pages, or I would have just completely stopped reading it. It was that bad. The last one I went through and read, and I'm actually happy with this one. This one was not bad. Was Orders of Magnitude by Yuval Kordov. So this is the Vatican space marine who is investigating a mysterious signal from an abandoned lunar colony. What he finds isn't just like a threat to his life, but it's a real threat to his soul. This book does a very good job at blending cosmic dread with religious rituals, wrapping it all in an incest, smoke, tension, and air a level of fear. Very fun book. Very quick. I think it was 100 pages. Went through and flew through this. A lot of fun. Definitely excited to go through and jump into Yuval's other books, and we're probably going to do that very soon. So super excited. Love his writing style. Excited for the next one. All right. So what am I currently reading? I am about 40% through Mercy Tears of the Fallen by Chance Dillon. This book is so well done. I am very impressed with this book so far. There is so much going on. It is definitely an epic fantasy story. So I'm very excited to go through and see what happens with the rest of this story. Once I go through and finish, I'll then decide if we're going to go through and do a full review of the book. But the way that it's going, this book is probably going to be up there for the best debut novel that I went through and read this year. So well done. Super excited to see how it goes through and finishes up. The next book that I'm currently reading is The Night Agent by Matthew Quirk. This book is a very quick read, a lot of fun, and I am 10% of the way through, maybe 15, and it's decent so far. We're just getting into the nitty-gritty of what's happening within this story. We're really starting to grow with the characters a little bit, so we'll see if I enjoy it once the tension starts elevating a little bit more. So we're still brand new into this, but we'll see what happens. The last book that I went through and started this week is A.J. Calvin's Wrath and the Revolution. I am only a few chapters into this. I plan on reading a lot more this weekend once I have some time. So far, I am excited. I haven't gotten too far in to say if I'm going to really enjoy this book or not, but it's starting out pretty strong so far. So we'll see if it continues this week when I'm going through and reading this. We'll find out. All right, so jumping into what did I buy, pre-order, or received in the mail. So all the books I have here are ebooks, and I either went through and bought them or received ARC copies of. The first one is an ARC book. It's Wisdom Takes Work by Ryan Holiday. Ryan goes through and teaches us in this book how to listen more than we talk, to think with nuance and question our own beliefs, and to develop a method of self education. So, very intrigued. I'm always a big fan of Ryan Holiday. So I usually go through and buy his books when they come out. And then knowing that I was able to get an art copy of his most recent one, super excited to go through and jump in and read it, probably in the next month. The next one is I received a audiobook for Big Dumb Eyes by Nate Bargatze. If you're not familiar with Nate, he is a hilarious comedian. He has a awesome Netflix special that's out, or Hulu. It's one of those. But from my understanding about this book, it's pretty much stories from Nate. He does narrate it, so I'm going to go through and listen to that. It should be a lot of fun. I'm assuming, just like every other comedian book, it's going to have some of the same jokes that they do in their comedy special. They just extend it a little bit more and give a little more background of what's happening in their lives for that story. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of Nate Bargatze. The next one is Perils of the Past by Kane Williams. So what this book is about, it's bloody knuckles, sword cuts, aching limbs. With each day of training in the mountain temple, Artarna draws closer to the power she'll need if an assassin strikes once more. Never again will she be helpless. When magic ravages the temple, the lives of her friends and the future of the congregation hang by a thread. A rare cure for their grave condition offers hope, and so Artarna braves a return to the city she fled as a child. The journey ahead is fraught by thieves, traitors, and tyrants who covet the cure. Lies are as thick as flies in a desperate race against time. Her past may hold vital clues or offer only deeper peril. So this sounds very cool. Very excited to go through and read this, and this cover looks awesome. So this is definitely going to get added to the list to go through and read this year. So Kane Williams, Peril of the Past. The next book I received, it was a free audiobook by Sean Fitzgerald. His first book, A Fold to Extinction. Let's go through and jump out what this book's about. To the rest of the world, a random tsunami is but one disaster among other elements to speculate over. Unbeknownst to most of the world, the disaster is but a single ripple caused by an experiment in the South Pacific. For one newly arranged rescue team, their mission to rescue researchers will lead them to confront terrors mankind was never intended to meet and unravel an enigma that may be the extinction of life as humanity knows it. Sounds pretty cool. We'll see. I'm always a big fan of these kind of big monsters and going through, and people have to go through and deal with it. So we'll see how this one is. The last book I went through and got was Deaths of Vanaf by Brady Hunsaker. And this book is about Halik has been training his whole life to become a Grimnir, a magic wielder who can aid in keeping their island safe from monster hordes outside the shield protecting them. Hundreds of years ago, Grimnirs created a shield around their island, and Halik has waited his whole life to become one of these elite Grimnirs who can keep their enemies at bay. But when monsters start showing up on the island, it appears that they aren't as safe as they thought. They need more Grimirs to ensure their safety, but to become a magic wielder, they'll need to travel the depths of Vanalf, a cave system that connects the realms, making it the most dangerous place imaginable. Fortunately, there's one ragtag crew that's up for the task. So, this sounds interesting. Honestly, this got on my radar because of how awesome that cover looks. And I need to go through and jump into this book solely based on the awesome artwork on this. So let's talk about what's coming up next week. So we have 3 shorts and 3 videos coming through. On Saturday, we're going to have a sentence review. Monday, we're going to go through and have a review of either Whispers in the Storm or The Veil. Tuesday, we have another sentence review. Wednesday, book review, Whispers of the Storm or The Veil. Haven't decided which one yet. Thursday, we have another sentence review. And this time next week, we're going to be doing a weekly recap and discussing some new things that I've been working on that should be coming down the pipelines. All right, so jumping into my favorite part of the weekly recaps is the indie author spotlight and the BookTuber spotlight. So starting with the indie author spotlight, this week I'm going to go through and spotlight the great Cal Logan. He has gone through and wrote Shadowbane, The Schism of Souls. I've seen a few of his interviews with different people online. Cal seems like a great guy. I'll go through and have all of his information down in the description. I do plan on going through and reading Shadowbane this month, so I am super excited to go through and check out his writing style and go through and read his book. So if you have not gone through and check out Cal's and his books, it's all going to be down in the description below. The BookTuber Spotlight is an individual who I talk to a lot on BookTube. Very, very cool guy, and it's Todd from Mysteries Galaxies. Todd is one of the most original BookTuber in the game right now. He's one of those BookTubers that puts in the work to give you a thoughtful review, does original thumbnails, very, very cool stuff. He's an awesome guy. Todd is literally the best. If you have not checked out his channel, it's going to be in the description. I promise you, you're not going to want to go through and miss his stuff. It is so much fun to go through and watch his videos. I look forward to all the new ones coming out. He's currently working on going through and reading every single Stephen King book right now, and he's running through a list and doing a review on every single one on top of all of his other reviews that he's going through and doing. So if you're a fan of Stephen King or want to just check out just someone that's awesome, go check out Mystery Galaxies. All the information will be in the description below. So that's it for this week. I really do appreciate you taking the moment to stop by and say, hey, let me know what you are currently reading down in the comments below. And I really do appreciate you stopping by. And don't forget to like, subscribe. You know what to do. Till I see you in the next one.